Hello, everybody. This is Christy Killily as a PR manager with District 68, and I am joined by Jasmine Paul, who is also part of Toastmasters District 68, and she is our member spotlight for the month of October. Jasmine, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Christy.
Of course, you're welcome. All right, so I'm going to start off with the basic question. What was your original reason to join Toastmasters?
My original reason for joining Toastmasters was to become a little bit more comfortable at presenting myself as a business owner. In 2020, I decided to start my own business as a health and wellness coach. And I didn't have really much practice in networking and having conversations with other business owners at that time. I was a manager in an organization and I managed individuals day to day. It was more of an operation standpoint, but from a business standpoint, representing you and then also representing this service or this product that you're wanting to present to people was a little bit different for me. And I thought that, okay, let me get some practice in speaking and learning how to listen and think on the go. Because I think sometimes when you're having conversations with individuals as it's related to business, sometimes those conversations just naturally happen organically. And so you want to think about what you're saying and how you're presenting yourself in the best light. And I thought that Toastmasters would do that for me.
What is your reason to continue in Toastmasters?
So to continuing in Toastmasters, I started to understand the time and the effort that was needed to put into making myself better as a speaker. And I just didn't have that on my own. And so continuing in Toastmasters allowed me to enhance my speaking. I I started to participate in the Pathways projects, and then also I became confident enough to participate in competition speaking. And really, that was really interesting because it was in a different setting of speaking. You're speaking for competition. I had never experienced speaking in a competition before. And along the way of strengthening my speaking skills as a business owner, I also wanted to strengthen my skills just overall and wanted to do it in a different light. It taught me so much to pay attention to, specifically nonverbal cues, which is really important whenever you're communicating. And so, yeah, that's why I wanted to continue on because it's not it's not something that a project that you start and you finish, right? You know, you're constantly growing with each experience that you have in Toastmasters. And so, yeah, I don't think that you can ever stop learning what you need to learn because there's always an aspect of speaking, listening, leadership that you can always learn in an organization. So, yeah, that's why I continue on.
All right. What aspect of Toastmasters surprised you after joining?
Just how much preparation everyone takes to present themselves in the best light. Some of the speakers who have been speaking for years, they still prepare. They just don't get in front of an audience and not be prepared, even if it's just maybe 5 minutes refreshing themselves on the material that they're presenting, or even if it's I've had speakers call me and say, "Hey, can I just run a speech by you and you give me some feedback?" Yeah, that really surprised me because I know that what I was doing to prepare and everyone's style is different, but to see overall everyone is still preparing just as persistent as you are, it was a pleasant surprise.
Yes. I think a lot of people outside Toastmasters and when they first join, they don't realize that it takes so much preparation time, not just at the meetings. You're doing things in between the meetings. And then especially if you're an officer or you're serving in the district, it's a whole other level of preparation. So thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Tell us about a time when you utilized something you gained from Toastmasters in your professional or personal life.
Yeah, so I was just sharing this information with some other members in the club that I'm in, and I was telling them I had an interview recently, and I had to do a presentation. It was a PowerPoint presentation, and so I was maneuvering through the PowerPoint presentation, sharing slides, and also sharing sound. Within that presentation was a video which was embedded, and the feedback from the interviewer was like, "Oh wow, that I'm glad to see that you know how to use the features in Zoom," because we were using Zoom at the time as well as PowerPoint. And I, shared with them that I am also a Toastmaster, so I'm familiar with presenting presentations, PowerPoint presentations, as well as utilizing the features in Zoom. And the interviewer was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that Toastmasters did all that, like explain that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a lot that you learn in Toastmasters." You may not initially think, "Oh wow, Toastmasters can really teach you how to use a PowerPoint presentation." But yes, they are. There are many resources in the club that gave me some pointers on how to improve my presentation in front of a webcam, how to utilize and navigate between PowerPoint and then Zoom, clicking, because sometimes you're by yourself. You don't always have a Zoom master to present your information for you. So yeah, that was really interesting to share with the interviewer. And also, I think it was interesting for them to learn that, wow, Toastmasters is teaching that in addition to speaking. So yeah, that was really great.
Yeah, Zoom is a big part of it. Mostly since COVID, we've had to use Zoom. A lot of clubs are either hybrid, some might be virtual only. So you definitely need to know those skills to use Zoom and use it properly in order to have a successful presentation, a successful speech. My next question for you is, how have you changed since you joined Toastmasters? Can you give us an example?
How have I changed? I guess an example would be, I believe I've improved my active listening a little bit better. I've taken the steps to be a health and wellness coach. And again, as I mentioned before, I think I pay a little bit more attention to the nonverbal cues as opposed to what someone is actually saying. I'm looking at the facial expressions and the tone of their voice, the speed at which they're speaking. I think it has taught me how to listen to the things that aren't said. And I think that that's made me better. I think it has provided some depth to the messaging that I want to say or want to communicate to someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an important skill to have. How has serving in leadership roles in Toastmasters benefited you?
Serving in any type of leadership role, you're gonna go into a role thinking that you know what is expected of you, but sometimes you really don't know what you don't know. And I think that when you serve in a role, whatever that may be, it may be treasurer, secretary, president, whatever, there's always going to be something that you don't know. And so with each role in the organization, it has taught me more about the capacity that I have, the abilities that I have to be able to perform those duties. And sometimes you realize, you may have bitten off a little bit more than you can chew, but then, we need to understand that there are resources, there are individuals surrounding you that want the best for you and want to help you. So I think most importantly it's taught me, you know, how to ask for help when you need help.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's definitely a big thing in leadership, is asking for help and having people on your team that you can delegate things to, because, it's hard to do it all on your own, okay? Carrying it all on your own shoulders. So I definitely know that very well, serving as PR managers.
And I think that's not just in a leadership role in Toastmasters, but it's leadership role in life. Sometimes there are going to be things that you just cannot do by yourself. I have to rely on partners and other colleagues to provide me either with some guidance, some wisdom, advice, support, resources, whatever. And I can't do what I do without that support.
So what would you say to someone who's on the fence about joining Toastmasters?
What do you have to lose? And then what do you have to gain? And think about, okay, so if you create this list of what are all the things that you want to gain or you can possibly gain from this organization, I'm pretty sure it's going to outweigh those things that you feel like you have to lose. But I think it's great if you just take the leap.
Right. This is something I get a lot when I tell people about Toastmasters. Is they say, oh, they're afraid to join because it's very well known for public speaking. So what would you say to someone who doesn't want to join Toastmasters because they are afraid of public speaking?
Well, that's common. Public speaking is a top fear for most people. I can't remember where it is. It's one of the top 10 fears of public speaking. So that is normal. It's a normal fear. It's real. So it's not to take away from that feeling. It's to acknowledge that we all are afraid. And some of us who are in this club are still nervous when we speak or may have some fears, but practice makes perfect. I know that's a cliche, but the more you practice speaking, the more comfortable you become, the less fear you will have.
Exactly. I tell people all the time, like, just do it afraid. That's what I did. And then the more and more times I did it, the less afraid I got. And I think that's the case for at least most of us. And usually that fear goes away because you tackle that fear head on, and then eventually you don't feel as afraid as you used to when you first started. So, yeah, definitely agree. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. And I'm so happy that you asked me.
Yeah, you're welcome.